Good morning, class. How are you all? Welcome to another session of GNS204, Introduction to Entrepreneurship Studies, Entrepreneurship Skills. I mentioned to us at the beginning of the course, I mentioned to us that it is basically essential for us as students of Bada University to learn skills that are associated with certain enterprises, such that upon our graduation from the university, when we are through with our course of study, we will not only be self-sufficient in terms of academic knowledge, but we will equally be very skilled or technically able to have opportunity to be our own employer and be a creator of job, not one person or somebody that will be searching for job, that is non-existent anywhere in Nigeria. I am very certain that you have all witnessed to a reasonable extent the problems of searching for job in Nigeria. Employment is no more easy to come by. And as such, it is better for us to, right from our university days now, have a mindset that we want to be job makers and not job seekers. To this extent, you will recall that at the beginning of this course, I introduced us to agriculture, and I introduced us to edible crops production. I introduced us to tree crops production, and as well, I mentioned that one of my colleagues will also come after today's lecture to take you on dry season vegetable production enterprise, which is also known as FADAMA. During the course of our interaction and discussion, I also discussed with you the sandal and leather slippers production enterprise, which was well treated. And I said one thing clearly, that the market for some of these things are inexhaustible. They cannot be exhausted, as quite a number of us must put on footwear on daily basis. I am sure that you also listen to poultry production enterprise from Mr. Adeyoju, who has been here ahead of me. I am sure Dr. Alusanya also has taken sheep and goat as well as rabbitry production enterprises. Today, our focus will be on tie and dye production enterprise. But before we go into tie and dye production enterprise, I want you to open your minds and visualize on your own what it means to say tie and dye. From the word itself, tie, to tie, then dye, is self-explanatory. But we will take efforts to explain in details and put across to you as much as possible ahead of the practical training that will be conducted on November 4 at our large lecture theatre 2, very close to Faculty of Law over there, LLT 2, I am sure many of you will know the place, especially those of us that are in Faculty of Administration and Management Sciences, as well as Social Sciences and Law. At the end of the class, our students should be able to define tie and dye as an enterprise. We should also be able to identify types of textile suitable for tie and dye production. Also, at the end of the class, we should be able to identify natural dye stuffs and the process of dyeing textile materials. Finally, at the end of the class, our students should be able to determine batik production process and be able to produce and market tie and dye as a business venture. Dyeing, D-Y-E-I-N-G. What is dyeing? Dyeing is an ancient art which predates written records. It was practiced during the Bronze Age in Europe. However, primitive dyeing techniques included sticking plants to fabric. When you say some plants, in fact, I should let you know that the origin of dyes are plants and plant materials. When we say plants, the leaves, the bark, the stem, the root, the flowers, the one you call inflorescence. All of these are the sources or origin of natural dyestuffs. You will be accustomed to these as we go by in the course of this lecture. Primitive dyeing techniques included sticking plants to fabric or rubbing crushed pigments. When we say pigments, they are the particles obtained or obtainable from plant inflorescence or plant flowers and buds. Those are pigments. So primitive dyeing techniques included sticking plants to fabric or rubbing crushed pigments into clothes. The methods became more sophisticated with time and techniques, using natural dyes from crushed fruits, berries, and other plants, which were boiled into fabrics, and this gave light and water fastness, that is resistance, which were developed as well. Some of the well-known ancient dyes included madder. When we say madder, M-A-D-D-E-R. Madder is a red dye that is made from roots of a plant that is called Rubia tinctorum. Rubia, R-U-B-I-A, tinctorum, T-I-N-C-T-O-R-U-M. Rubia tinctorum. Are you with me? Rubia tinctorum. Also, we have blue indigo from the leaves of Indigofera tinctura. Indigofera, I-N-D-I-G-O-F-E-R-A. Indigofera tinctura, T-I-N-C-T-O-R-I-A. Also, color yellow from the stigma of saffron plant. Saffron, S-A-F-F-R-O-N. There is a plant that is called saffron. Some of these things you can also do further studies by checking them online, or you can do a Google search on what we are discussing to shed more light on this for your personal study and personal knowledge. Beyond this, we also have dogwood, D-O-G, dog as in dogwood, which is an extract of pulp of the dogwood tree. There is a dogwood tree. The first use of the blue dye, wad, When you say blue dye, it is called WOAD. What? The first use of the blue dye, loved by the ancient Britons, may have originated in Palestine, where it was found growing in the wild. Also, the most famous and highly prized color through the ages was Tyrian purple. Tyrian purple, Tyrian, Tyrian purple, which was noted in the Bible as a dye obtained from the spiny dye Murex shellfish. That is, what this one is telling us is that apart from plant sources for dyes, you can also get dye from animal sources. And that was why we said the Murray shellfish is also a source of dye. Also, you have the Phoenicians. Phoenicians prepared dyes until the 7th century, when Arab conquerors destroyed their dyeing installation in the Levant. A bright red called cochinilla was obtained from an insect native to Mexico. Until the 19th century, all dyestuffs were made from materials mainly vegetable and animal matter origin. Today, dyeing is a complex, specialized science, and nearly all dyestuffs are now produced from synthetic compounds. Synthetic compounds. This means that This means that costs have been greatly reduced, and certain application and wear characteristics have been enhanced. But many practitioners of the craft of natural dye, that is, using naturally occurring sources of dye from plants and animal sources, maintain that natural dyes have a far superior aesthetic quality, which is more pleasing to the eye than synthetic dyestuffs. On the other hand, many commercial practitioners feel that natural dyes are non-viable on the grounds of both quality and economic implications. In the West, natural dyeing are now practiced only as a handicraft, as synthetic dyes being used in all commercial applications. Some craft spinners, weavers, and knitters use natural dyes as particular feature of their work. Having said that, students, we have seen and we have been introduced to what dyeing is, and we have also mentioned that we have natural dyes and synthetic dyes. Two types of dyes. The first one, natural dyes, which sources are the flowers of plants, the whole plant itself, the root of plant, the bark. When we say bark, B-A-R-K, bark of plants, the stem of plant, the twigs, T-W-I-G-S, twigs, and as well leaves of plants. These are natural plant sources of dyestuffs. And also, we mentioned that we can also have shellfish, the Murex shellfish, okay, from which we can obtain dyestuffs of animal sources. From here, we go to types of textiles suitable for dye. Natural dyes can be used on most types of materials or fiber, but the level of success in terms of fastness and clarity of color varies considerably. Users of natural dyes, however, tend to also use natural fibers, and so we will look into more details at this stage. Natural fibers come mainly from two distinct origins: animal origin and vegetable origin. Now we are seeing natural fibers. These are textile. Please note this: dyes and dyestuffs are from two sources. The first source, animal origin; the second source, plant origin. Also, the textile materials that can be dyed, that you can dye, are of two distinct types, and they can be of animal origin or vegetable origin. When we say vegetable origin, we are referring to plant origin. Fibers from animal origin include wool that is obtained from the skin of some special animals, especially some animals in Australia. A certain goat or a certain sheep from Australia, from which wool is obtained. Wool, apart from wool, silk, apart from silk, mohair. Mohair is mohair, mohair, and also alpaca. Alpaca is alpaca. These are fibers from animal sources, as well as some others which are less well known. All animal fibers are based on proteins, and the natural dyes have a strong affinity to fiber of animal origin. What we are saying here, student, is that natural dyes easily get fastened. They get fastened, fastened, because they stick permanently and probably very well to fibers of animal origin. I hope you understand that. Fibers of animal origin, especially wool, silk, and mohair, and the result of these fibers are usually good. However, fibers of plant origin include cotton, flax, linen, rami is R-A-M-I-E, jute is J-U-T-E, hemp, and many others. Plant fibers have cellulose as their basic ingredient, and natural dyeing of plant-based textiles can be less successful in that to that of their animal origin equivalent. Different modernizing techniques. Moderns, when we say different modernizing techniques, moderns are substances that makes dye stick very well to textiles. Different modernizing techniques are called different modernizing techniques are called for with each category when a blend of fiber of both animal and plant origin is being dyed. Then a recipe should be chosen which will accentuate the fiber which is required to be dominant. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we move to equipment that are needed for home dyeing, small scale, and commercial dyeing. Equipment needed for home dyeing, small scale dyeing, and commercial dyeing. The equipment includes the following. 1. Weigh scales. Weigh scales. These weigh scales, to determine weight. What you call weighing scales. Weigh scales. These are used for obtaining the correct quantities as specified in the recipe. A scale with metric and imperial measurement is useful as conversions from one system to the other are not then needed. The second equipment needed is called protective equipment. This includes gloves for holding hot pans to prevent burns. An apron is also a protective equipment that will protect your clothing. Also, rubber gloves will prevent skin irritation that can be caused by mordants. Mordant is M-O-R-D-A-N-T-S. And this will also prevent you from dyeing your hands. A face mask can cut down the amount of fumes or powder that is inhaled during dyeing process. Another material that is needed is mordant. M-O-R-D-A-N-T-S. Mordant. Few natural dyes are color fast with fibers. Mordants are substances which are used to fix a dye to the fibers. They also improve the take-up quality of the fabric and help to improve the color and light fastness. The term mordant is derived from the Latin word modere, which means to bite. Some natural dyes, such as indigo, for example, will fix without the aid of a mordant. These dyes are known as substantive dyes. Other dyes, such as the madder and wood, have a limited fastness and the color will fade with washing and exposure to light. Hence, mordants are required. Traditionally, mordants are found in nature. Wood, W-O-A-D, wood ash, or stale urine may have been used as an alkali mordant. An acid could be found in acidic fruits or rhubarb leaves. Rhubarb is spelled as R-H-U-B-A-R-B, which contain oxalic acid. For example, nowadays, most natural dyers use chemical mordants such as alum, copper sulfate, iron, or chrome. There are concerns, however, about the toxic nature of chrome, and some practitioners recommended that it should not be used. Mordants are prepared in solution, often with the addition of an assistant which improves the fixing of the mordant to the yarn or fiber. The most commonly used mordant is alum, which is usually used with a cream of tartar as an additive or assistant mordant. Other mordants that can be used in the dyeing process include ferrous sulfate, also known as iron, include tin, stannous chloride, include chrome, bichromate of potash, include copper sulfate, include tannic acid, as well as oxalic acid. It should be noted that using a different mordant with the same dye stuff can produce different shades of color. For example, iron is used as a saddener and is used to darken colors, not a fastener, as a saddener. If you use iron, you want to darken the brightness of color. Also, copper sulfate darkens, but it gives shade which are otherwise very difficult to obtain. Tin, when used, brightens colors. Tannic acid, when it is used traditionally with other mordants, will add brilliancy to colors in dyeing process. Chrome is also good for obtaining yellow colors. Oxalic acid is good for extracting blue from berries. Then finally, cream of tartar is not really a mordant, but is used to give a luster to wool when dyed. Mordants are often poisonous, and in the dye house, they should be kept on a high shelf out of reach of children. It should be noted that we must always use protective clothing when working with mordants, and as well avoid breathing the fumes emanating from mordants. The mordants can be added before, during, or after dyeing stage, although most recipes call for mordanting to take place prior to dyeing. Are we there? Having explained to us the equipment that are needed in the dyeing process, it is important for us to also ask ourselves, I was mentioning at the initial stage about natural dyestuffs and synthetic dyestuffs. What are natural dyestuffs? What are natural dyestuffs? What are natural dyestuffs? Dyestuffs and dyeing are as old as dyeing in itself. Nature provides a wealth of plants which will yield their color for the purpose of dyeing. Many having been used since antiquity, that is, in fact, time that memory may not even be able to recall. In this section that we're looking at natural dyestuffs, we will see natural dyestuffs and their sources as well. And their sources. Natural dyestuffs fall into the following categories. That is, when you say natural dyestuffs, what are their sources? Where can they be obtained? How do you get natural dye? From where do you get natural dyestuffs? Number one, leaves and stems of plants are sources of natural dyestuffs. Number two, twigs, TWIGS, and pronins. Pronins are the part of plants that are cut off. When plants grow excessively and you take off some part of the plant, those are what you call plant pronins. Pronins, okay, sources of natural dyestuffs. Also, we have flower heads. Put it at the back of your mind. Also, we have barks of trees as sources of natural dyestuffs. Also, the roots of trees, the outer skins, hulls, and husk of plants. Also, you have heartwoods and wood shavings. Apart from this, we have berries. Berries are fruits. Berries and seeds of plants. Apart from these sources, we also have some tiny plants that are called lichens, as well as insect dyes. The choice of mordant for a particular plant is dependent upon the material with which it will be used. It is, however, necessary to check a recipe before using a plant, or one can experiment to see what effect a mordant has for a particular application. It is, however, recommended that plants be grown specifically for the purpose of dyeing. Harvesting plants from the wild on a non-sustainable basis can endanger the survival of the plant. Many lichens are registered as protected organisms, and it is illegal to gather them from the wild. One source of lichen is from timber mills when log trees are being processed in mills, in sawmills. We go to processes of dyeing, that is application of dye to textile, what we call fiber. Application of dye to textiles, what we call fiber. Dyeing can be carried out at any of the following stages in the textile manufacturing stage. The first one is the fiber, that is the textile, can be dyed before they are spun, before spinning, before they become textiles. They are still in their fiber stage. They can be dyed. That is, you can dye the fiber. You can dye the yarn. The yarn are thread-like. You can dye it. Are we there? Fiber dyeing provides a deep penetration of the dye into the fiber, giving even color and excellent color fastness. Those are the processes. That is the stage of dyeing. Stages of dyeing. Fiber stage. The second one, the yarn can be dyed after spinning. That is spinning stage. Post-spinning stage. The yarn can be dyed after spinning, but before the product is woven or otherwise fabricated. This stage is called package dyeing. Also, dyeing can also occur before the fabric is finished. That is, before the finishing process. It can be dyed in length. That is piece dyeing. You dye some piece, you leave it. You dye some area, you leave it. This process allows manufacturers the opportunity to produce fabrics in their natural colors and then dye them to order. Finally, in cross-dyeing fabrics, fabrics of two or more fibers can be dyed so that each fiber accepts a different dye stuff and becomes a different color through the use of appropriate dye stuffs for each fiber. It is essential for the correct identification of the fiber or other fabrics to be made before dyeing can commence. Methods of dyeing. There are a number of methods of applying dye to fabrics, although the most common method used for applying natural dye is the VAT method. Method of dyeing, number one, VAT method, VAT. There are techniques which have been developed to a flow pattern to be incorporated during dyeing process. It is worth bearing in mind that using natural dyes is a complex art, and the skills required for using natural dyes are learned over many years. Now we go to VAT dyeing. In the simplest form of, this is the simplest form of dyeing a textile material, as a textile material is immersed in a dye and gradually brought to boil. VAT dyeing. Textile material is immersed in a dye and gradually brought to boil. Alternatively, the fiber is allowed to sit and soak for several hours or days in a container. During this period, agitation is necessary. Agitation means you continue to move it. You are stirring it. You are turning it using wood or pestle to turn it, wooden object to move it, or plastic object to move the material, to turn it such that dyeing is well, dyeing could as well take place as expected. It will be well done. During this period, agitation is necessary to allow full penetration of the textile by the dye stuff. Depending on the type of fabric and dye stuff used, certain salts or acid may be added to assist absorption of the dye. The principal difficulty in dyeing mixed yarns and fabric is in achieving the same color in both fibers. Cotton fibers may, for instance, absorb dye rapidly, while wool fibers will have to be boiled over an extended period to reach the same depth of shade. This will lead to significant damage to the material. In the case of chemical compound, in this case, a chemical compound would need to be used to restrain the rate at which the cotton fiber takes up the dye stuff. The amount of dye stuff which is used is usually given in the recipe. Are we there? The other one is batik. Batik is a starch-resist dyeing process developed on the island of Java in modern-day Indonesia. Color is prevented from reaching certain areas of a fabric by covering these areas with molten wax. Yes, when you say molten wax, this is wax that has been dissolved and it is hot. So when it is hot, it is spread over a certain area where you do not want dye to get to. So those ones are called batik. But we interchangeably use batik for adire and adire for batik these days. The fabric is starched prior to the design being drawn upon it. The wax is applied with a core with a fine pouring spout, usually made of copper. The technique has been developed to a high art from Indonesia, from where it was exported to many parts of the world. Batik paintings, as well as sarongs and lengths of fabrics are produced. When the fabric is dyed, all waxed areas resist the dye stuff. That was why we said batik is a starch-resist dyeing process. All waxed areas resist dye stuff. The wax is then removed by placing the fabric in boiling water. For patterns with many colors, the same procedure is repeated until the full design is completed. The first one is vat dyeing. The second one is starch resist dyeing process, that is also called batik. And the third one is called tie dye. Tie dyeing. Tie dyeing is another popular artisanal dyeing techniques. In this resist dyeing process, wool thread is usually tied around areas chosen to resist the color dye stuff, and the fabric is dipped into the dye. The waxed or tied area is then removed and the fabric dried. This process can be repeated for each color to be added, obtaining unusual colors. Colors other than those obtained by simply using a simple dye can be obtained by mixing dyes or dyed fabric more than once in a different dye bath. The color triangle is useful in determining the colors needed to produce a required shade. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have come to the end of this section. And it is my intention to let you know clearly that the intention of the university in introducing entrepreneurship skills into the curriculum is to ensure that our students, when they graduate, will not become liability unto themselves. As they would and should be able to stand on their own and make economic gains, which, in my own view, will be a clear departure away from the orientation of fraudulent styles and patterns which our students or which our youth are using presently in many of our African countries, and so to speak as well. I want to say that we know that what we did not suffer for does not endure in our hands, and it is only what we toil to get that we guide and guard jealously. By and large, the class representatives have been told that November 4th, 2023, by 7 a.m., all of us will converge at Lecture Theatre 2 at the main campus at ABAYOMI to partake in practical teaching and training practically of our students on leather slippers and sandal production, as well as on tie and dye production enterprise. We will take those ones. Having said that, the Directorate of General Nigerian Studies 2 will organize another set of practicals for students that are in other campuses, especially our Shagamu campus, where tie and dye as well as batik production process will be taught. Also, students in the College of Agricultural Sciences Ayetoro will be taught how to carry out practical training, on production of tie and dye by Mrs. Adelele of the Home and Hotel Management Department, while our students in the College of Engineering and Environmental Studies, Ibogu campus, will be taking on production of electrical sockets by Engineer Adetifa over there. So we are not asking students from external campuses to come to ABAYOMI for their practicals. The practicals will be done in their respective campuses. I thank you. God bless. As we prepare for the practical on the 4th of November 2023. Good morning, and do have a blessed week ahead. Thank you.